and welcome to the Crooked Letter Sports Podcast, the show about Mississippi sports and the folks who play them. I'm Tyler Cleveland, joined as always by my co-host and dad, Rick Cleveland of Mississippi Today fame. Dad, tell the people hello. How was your weekend?
My weekend was, I wrote about it. I watched college football for 12 and a half hours Saturday. That's probably
12 and a half hours?
Only 12 and a half hours, which means that I spent 2.5 hours of my life enduring TV timeouts. But yeah, everything's fine except my lower back, which makes life fairly miserable.
Crapped out on you, didn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe it's from being on the couch for 12 and a half hours straight on Saturday.
Maybe so. That might be it.
I'm not a doctor. I'm just spitballing here. That or playing golf 4 days a week. We'll do it, I guess.
Yeah, it was the first time in a week I played.
Yeah, well, there you go. I will say I've got to give you credit for going ahead and finishing the round, which is probably
the stupidest thing.
It's pretty dumb. I'll go ahead and tell you. What hole were you on? I got to know. Come on. One? Yeah, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. That's great. That's fantastic. Did not know that detail until this moment, so that's fantastic. All right, Dad, what an exciting Saturday of college football it was. I mean, just all the way through. I was in Hattiesburg, went to that Jackson State Southern Miss game. Love it when two Mississippi schools hook up, just like last week in Hattiesburg with Southern Miss and Mississippi State. This time the Golden Eagles won at 38-20 over Jackson State. Braylon Braxton looked pretty damn good, 20 of 30, 214 yards, 3 touchdowns. Did some work with his legs as well. I will say that game was, I'm sure, Southern Miss fans are happy that they ended up winning by 18 because it was the difference in those two teams ain't 18 points.
That's what I wrote. It was a evenly played game except for Southern
blocked a punt and scored a touchdown on special teams.
Yeah, and got 2 turnovers and didn't give up any.
Yeah.
That's the difference in the game right there. It's a 3-score game, and that's 3 scores.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was going to be, watching it play out, especially towards halftime, I thought it was going to be much closer towards the end. But Jackson State is, as you wrote in your story, going to be extremely competitive, probably the favorite to win the SWAC again. And I'm not sure they wouldn't finish middle of the pack in the Sun Belt right now. I mean, especially considering how much the teams around Southern Miss in the Sun Belt got raided by the transfer portal. I mean, I think Jackson State would be pretty competitive in that league.
They'd be competitive. I don't know if they'd be upper division or not, but they'd definitely be competitive. And I will go on the record as saying they'll be dominant in the SWAC. Well, they did last year. I think they had 2 games that were under double digits. They ran the table, and I think they had 2 games that were not double-digit victories.
No.
And I think they're every bit as good or better now than they were last year. So
while that was going on, how about you watched the Ole Miss and Kentucky? You were flipping. You had both of them, right?
Yes, I had both of them on at the same time.
I caught the end of Ole Miss and Kentucky on my cell phone, which much to the chagrin of the Southern Miss folks that I was around. But let me just tell you, had to tune in for that. They were able to hold on, which is, look, any win on the road in the SEC, you'll take it, no matter how you get it. I thought, just in what I was seeing and looking at the numbers, Austin Simmons, 13 of 24, 235 yards, the 2 interceptions, still making some questionable decisions. But, I mean, like I said, they ran for, about that. Kewan Lacey is a one-man wrecking crew.
He's a quality running back.
Yeah, and Xavier Harris is a great player up front, causes all kinds of problems on defense for Ole Miss. And tell you what, they held, I think it was, I want to say they held Kentucky to 5.7 yards per pass attempt. That's a pretty damn good number. I mean, it's hard to play DB and get generate a pass rush, and they seem to be pretty good on defense, especially in that pass defense.
Yeah, they're right now, I'd say defense is the strength of the team. You know, I mean, right now, I would say that. And it was, I mean, you know, obviously Ole Miss with Kiffin is going to be known for its explosive offense, and that's as it should be. But I tell you what, they're defensively, they're solid. They were last year. They're really solid.
Yeah, key stretch coming up for them here. These next 2 weeks, pretty big to set up for that LSU weekend. Which, if Ole Miss was to beat Arkansas and then Tulane in the next 2 games, I would think that would be probably a top 10 matchup, and you're probably going to get like College game day and all that.
You could. I don't know what the other big games are that day, but it would certainly be in the running for game day.
Well, let's talk about the big one, the biggest game of the weekend in Mississippi. I felt like that night, Mississippi State, the Bulldogs posted what has got to be the biggest win in at least half a decade, beating an Arizona State team at home. 24-20. Arizona State came in, they ranked 12th.
Yeah.
I think that's the most significant part of the win. I don't know. I can't remember what the non-conference Power 5. It was, whatever it was. Their first win against a ranked Power 5 non-conference opponent at home since 91.
You got me. I haven't seen
that was the stat they kept showing, and I was like, well, how many ranked non-conference opponents have come to Starkville in that time? You know what I mean? I couldn't figure that one out.
Not many, but it was a significant victory, and they did what it took to win. I'll never understand how Arizona State with the lead on third down
with
and
30
9
seconds
yards,
left in the game,
with 30 seconds, did not have a safety playing over the middle deep. You got to keep it in front of you.
I guess so. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. I thought it was a good team win for Mississippi State. The Blake Shapen's 58-yard touchdown pass to Brennan Thompson with 30 seconds left was. I'll say I was jumping up and down, was fired up for him. I am sure that was cathartic for all of Maroon Nation.
Oh, it was the 3 years of frustration.
Yeah. And you could see it in everyone's face watching on TV. I mean, it was just people going nuts, and rightfully so. But it was if Mississippi State is going to get to 6 wins this season,
they had to have that.
They had to have it, and the way they won that game has got to be the recipe. They only committed 6 penalties. They forced 2 turnovers. They gave away none of their own. I just thought it was a great team win. I think if Shapen stays healthy, they got a great shot to get to 6. If you look at the rest of the schedule, they're going to have to get 1 or 2 that they're going to be underdogs in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you know what? And I wrote this in my column that published Monday, is that if Shapen had been healthy last year, they wouldn't have been 2-10.
Probably not. Their schedule was just as brutal then, but
it was brutal. But he's a winner. He's a really, really good college quarterback.
Well, I know we want to give a shout out before we move on from college football completely, or at least look ahead to the next week. Got to give a shout out to Ty Cooley and the Delta State Statesmen.
Yeah.
The Okra, whatever you want to call them. They won this weekend. Cooley becomes the all-time winningest coach at Delta State, which is, rightfully so. He's been winning there for a long time.
He's a solid football coach who really could coach at any level. He broke the record held by Horace McCool. The old-timers will remember he was a really good football coach, too. The stadium in Delta State is named after him. And hats off to Todd. They don't get nearly the publicity that they would have gotten 25, 30 years ago in Mississippi when schools like Delta State and Mississippi College and Millsaps and everybody got covered, and now they don't get covered nearly as much. But he's a quality coach. He's got a quality football team, and good for him.
Yeah. Congrats to Todd. Looking ahead a little bit, Dad, we got Mississippi State's got an in-state matchup against Alcorn next week. Should be a cakewalk. Looking at that Northern Illinois game, which is a bit of a trap game, I would say. There are no trap games on the schedule. I mean, they got to have every win they can get their hands on. But Northern Illinois is one that they're going to be favored by a couple of touchdowns, and as Notre Dame found out last year, it doesn't always work out like that.
Yeah, that's a game to watch.
And that'll be another good test for that Mississippi State front seven, because Northern Illinois loves to run the football. I think they had 2 guys run for over 80 yards just last weekend
against Maryland.
Yeah, against Maryland. Yeah, it's not. It ain't chop liver. So exciting for them. Ole Miss, as we said, got Archie and Tulane the next 2 weeks. Both of those teams 2-0. Won't be easy, but I guess they get both of them at home, which is nice. But need them both to set up that really fun weekend in Oxford when LSU comes to town in 3 weeks. You like Ole Miss against Archie?
Yes.
Arkansas hadn't played anybody, but they've put up like 108 points in their 2 games.
Well, they haven't played anybody, so this is we'll find out about Arkansas. We'll also find out a little bit more about Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm. Big game for Southern Miss this weekend. They host Appalachian State, who's 2-0. You want to get that Sun Belt, record off on the right foot, but I mean more than that, App State's been one of the best teams in the league for a couple of years. You like their chances at home?
Yeah, but I think the odds makers, I think that they're underdog, a 1.5, something like that, 2 point.
1.5.
1.5 point underdog, which is probably as it should be. But I think in games like this one, fairly evenly matched, that
Braxton going to make the difference. I can already go. I already knew where you were going with this. Yeah.
He's not the most accurate quarterback I've ever seen, but
if he was, he wouldn't be in Hattiesburg.
Right. He's a winner.
Right.
I'll be surprised if he doesn't find a way.
I'm with you. Let's hope so. JSU has Tuskegee at home. They ought to swap them by 3 or 4 touchdowns. The way they're playing right now, I just feel like they're on a roll. Tuskegee hadn't played anybody, although they are 2-0.
Hey, Tyler, before we leave college football, I just want to make one more observation of Jackson State and Southern Miss, and that is that they had a crowd of over 32,000.
There were people everywhere.
You were there.
There were people everywhere, on TV, campus, off campus.
On TV, it looked 50-50 crowd-wise.
No, it was closer to like 60-40 or maybe even 65-35. It was kind of deceiving because Jackson State fans, I mean, I'm guessing they brought about 15,000 or so.
Okay,
well, I mean, it was a large contingency of Jackson State fans.
Here's my point that I'd like to make is that any time when you have a game like that puts 32,000 plus in the Rock, that needs to happen more often than it does. It's happened 4 times over the years.
Yes, I agree, and I know that Southern Miss doesn't, not under any circumstances, want to do this, but they should play the game in Jackson one time. Just throwing it out there. I know that would be like a home game for JSU, and you could call it whatever you want. In the old days, it would be a neutral game site. You know what I mean? So if you brought in, I think they would do really, really well selling tickets at Memorial Stadium for that game. I think they could sell 40,000 tickets, maybe more. Who knows? But it was a great atmosphere on Saturday. It was. I mean, there were people across Highway 49, just like over by the avenues, just on the side of the road tailgating. There were people on campus, off campus. And it was fun walking around because I walked all the way around through before the game. We did like a 2-mile lap where we just kind of went through all the different tailgating areas and saw the Sonic Boom come in and all that stuff. And it was fantastic. A great atmosphere, very friendly for the most part. And I think it was really good for Hattiesburg, really good for Southern Miss.
Really good for Jackson.
That's very competitive game, too. I mean, I think that contributes a lot to it, that it was, Southern Miss was favored to win, but it was, for all, like we said, it was much closer than that. And the JSU fans that I talked to fully expected to not only compete but like win the game. So I think that contributes a lot. If it's a SWAC team coming down there that's expecting to lose by 50, it may not draw the way. But they expected to be competitive, and it was a great atmosphere.
And that's a credit to TC.
Man, that dude can evermore coach him up. Dad, good games this week before we move on. Georgia and Tennessee. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do the thing this week. You're going to watch for 12 hours straight because you got a hell of a lineup on Saturday. At 2:30, Georgia and Tennessee. At 3:30, South Florida, Miami. And at 6:30 p.m., Texas A&M and Notre Dame. And that's not even counting the Mississippi schools who I know you'll watch. So
those will be the games I'll watch.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But nationally, it's a whole lot better schedule this week than last week. There's some great games.
Yep. Agree. Dad, want to spend just a minute on before I talk about the Saints, which I also went and watched on Sunday. Before we get to that, though, I want to give a couple of attaboys to the high school football. We had some interesting storylines coming out of week one, which we talked about on the show, mainly that shootout in Starkville between the Yellow Jackets and the Oak Grove Warriors. I said in this space last week that could easily be a preview of the state championship because of how it ended 54-51 on the last play. In retrospect, maybe that was a bit hasty because it turns out neither one of those teams is playing very much defense right now. In week two, it was West Point over Starkville 48-15 and Germantown over Oak Grove 37-12. Both of those scores don't seem real. I mean, even if West Point does get Starkville from time to time, beating them by 33 points is unreal. And Germantown, what a big win for that program to just, not just, get Oak Grove, but just mollywomped them 37-12. The other big game of the weekend, Dad, was Brandon and Madison Central, who Lance Pogue, who we had on the show just a couple of weeks ago, got his first win as the Brandon head coach, beating Madison Central 17-7 at Madison Central. First time the Bulldogs have won there in a while. And it was
a huge win for Brandon.
It was. Because of the nature of the game. Because as he said on the show, they wanted to be more physical. Well, they got the physical game they wanted on Friday night, and they were better than Madison Central was, especially on defense. Man, you hold Madison Central to 7 points. That's really strong. The other one, I mentioned it to you last week, Lanier had gone down to the coast and beaten West Harrison, which was a 7-8 team. This week they beat Moss Point 42-6 on the road. There's something going on at Lanier. There's something in the water. We need to check it out. Don't know what the story is there, but I saw that score. And I got to give an attaboy to Senatobia running back Devion Watson. Dad, in a 48-32 win over New Albany, Watson carried the ball 20 times for 413 yards and 3 touchdowns. Very strong. Got to give him a shout out.
Tell me, do you know any more about this guy?
Don't know anything about him. No, he was the player of the week on Mississippi Gridiron, and rightfully so. 20 carries, 413 yards. I'm not a math major, but it seems like the only thing that tackled him was like out of bounds or the end zone.
He ran for a quarter mile.
There you go. That's always helpful when you're trying to win a football game. Let's talk about a team that didn't run for a quarter mile for a second. The New Orleans Saints, they're about what I expected them to be. I know that, and I'll give you a chance to sing Spencer Rattler's praises if you'd like. The offense sucks. They got beat by Arizona 20-13. They committed 13 penalties. They couldn't convert on third down. They made a game of it. I will say Rattler did he did throw what should have been the game-tying pass. And if you take into consideration that they should have made a 37-yard field goal that they missed earlier in the game, it would have been the game-winning pass. Hit Juwan Johnson in the hands. Juwan Johnson, the only pass-catching threat the Saints have, by the way. I mean, Olave, of course, he left the game again. Got his bell rung pretty good, but it always seems to happen to him. Did you have any takeaways from the game? I was there. I thought it was, pretty good crowd. I mean, it was not. I mean, they were talking about having another sellout season, but the stadium was, I'd say, maybe 3/4, maybe 2/3 full.
Wow.
I mean, there are lots of empty seats, and I think maybe rightfully so. Like I said, they're not very good.
No, we knew that, and you said you gave me an entry into talking about Spencer Rattler, who I will just say this: he's better than I thought he was going to be.
Well, the drunk guy in the bathroom in front of me in line after the game, who was telling anybody who would listen that the Saints were better than he thought they were, that he thought they were going to be, that he thought they were. Listen to that. He thought they were better than he previously thought, and that maybe they would get better throughout the season. And like I told him, I don't think the Cardinals are very good. And I don't, but they were better than the Saints on Sunday. I just don't know how you get. It's a different coaching staff, and it's the same. Pardon my French, same shit. I mean, they did 13 penalties. Can't convert on third down. They don't run the ball particularly well.
When you have all the deficiencies that the Saints have, talent-wise, you got to be precise. You got to be crisp. You got to not have those
13 penalties.
And that's the one thing that, in Sean Payton's first season when he became the head coach of the Saints, the one thing you noticed right away is that they were coached.
Yep.
And I'm not closing the book. I'm certainly not closing the book on the new
I hope not.
regime.
It was one game.
I know. I'm just saying that I did not see that same crispiness that I saw when Peyton became the coach, and surely it, we'll give him a few more games, but that's what I'd like to see, because I know they're not talent-wise, they're not a contender in anything right now.
Their defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. I thought they played pretty well, albeit against the Arizona team that may not be as good as all that. But
yeah, but bottom line, to win any game, they've got to play, if not mistake-free football, they've got to play where they don't beat themselves. Sunday, I thought they beat themselves.
Yeah, well, they've got San Francisco next week. I was looking at that. The exciting part is that San Francisco will definitely be without George Kittle, the tight end, because as I texted my buddy on Sunday, if you're looking for a tight end in fantasy football every week, just figure out who the Saints are playing and pick up whoever the hell that is, because they just don't cover the position. They didn't on Sunday for most of the game, but they won't have. But San Francisco will be without George Kittle and maybe starting quarterback Brock Purdy, which, you know what? If Purdy doesn't play and Kittle doesn't play, all bets are off. I think that's about an even game.
I would still, if I played fantasy football, which I don't, I would still take whoever San Francisco's backup tight end.
I'm just telling you, it's like they don't know it exists.
Yeah.
I don't know how the hell that happens, but it is what it is. So anyway, I got really high hopes for the Saints, is how I'd like to sum up that whole conversation. I think they're just one or two pieces away, buddy.
Tyler, son, I thought I'd taught you better than that.
Well, we just need a couple of breaks late in games. What else are you looking forward to this week? We still got 2 more weeks for Ryder Cup. How long is this back thing going to last? We got to play some golf.
I don't know, but
the weather's finally changed, and here you are.
Yeah.
Cripple.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right.
It ain't no fun.
Wishing you a speedy recovery, my friend. That's about all the time we got this week. Thanks, everybody, for listening in. Hopefully we're talking about some wins for some Mississippi teams next week in this same space. We'll talk to you then. Be safe in the meantime.